Welcome to the ET Final Score preview show. I'm Trevor Pill. To my left is Chris Perry, and to my right is Travis Yosting. We have teams looking to win a state title from East Texas and Texas high school football. But before we talk about them, let's hit a little bit about John Tyler. Now, both of you were there this past Saturday as they took on Aledo. And Travis, it was the wrong time for John Tyler to have a bad game.
Definitely, their offense never really could get going. Right from the start, Jeremy Wilson was bottled up by that Aledo defense. The passing game wasn't quite on as sharp as it had been in recent weeks. And really just getting behind the eight ball, getting Aledo jumping out to a lead, and they just never could really get into that game.
Now, Chris, what did you see and take away from that game?
I thought Aledo did a really good job with with their quarterback read option, and their quarterback just was getting big chunks of yards and first downs and touchdowns. And John Tyler, that's okay if you can match it, but JT's offense wasn't able to match it. And then they started to get exactly what Travis said. They started getting further and further behind. And then it was catch-up time, and now Aledo is just waiting for all those passes and yards to come out. John Tyler did what they always say, never quit, never die. They were trying to do crazy things on kickoffs and laterals, and that just kept making things worse because fumbles, and then you're basically giving Aledo another touchdown. Yeah. But let's look at the positive. It was a terrific season for John Tyler. When you make the state semifinals 3 of the last 4 years, clearly the program's on the up and up. Just have to take that next step.
Yeah, what are some of these players coming back? Who can expect to see next year?
Well, they lose 30 seniors. That was a big, important senior class for them. But they do have a lot of talent coming up through the ranks. Obviously, maybe the biggest one, youngest guy, Damian Miller, sophomore. He had a huge playoffs. He was huge for them and as a receiver. Bryson Smith will probably step in under center. He's shown a few times this year he's an electric athlete. And the biggest thing for JT coming back, though, is their defensive linemen, Pierre Leonard, Braylon Jones. If those two come back like they did this year, they're going to be pretty stout on defense again.
And talking with Coach Holmes, how did he feel about the game and pretty much this season?
He didn't want to look as the game as a negative on the season, because they did have a great season. They won 12 games to make it to the semifinals. That's a great year. Just because they didn't go as far as they wanted, they don't want to see it as a failure. They want to still enjoy the season for what it was.
Well, Mineola will be playing Cameron Yo this Thursday at 8 p.m. AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Now, Chris, you got to see Mineola play a little bit. Cameron Yo, even though it was 2A, have won back-to-back state titles. Mineola, this is their first appearance in school history. What can you take from Mineola's games that you have seen so far and put into this game?
I think they find ways to win, and at this time of the season in the playoffs, that's what you want. They run the football, they play good defense, and that is the recipe for success. I mean, let's look at who usually wins the state championships when it's all said and done. It's the teams that are good with running control the clock, ball possession, and defense. Find a way to keep the other team off the field and off the scoreboard, and that's what Mineola does really well. Chance Perkins is a fantastic running back. If you give him just a little bit of a crease, he's shown that he can take it to the house. And Jeremiah Crawford is just relentless in the fact that if he has a 3-yard gain, he's dragging guys 3 and 4 yards to make it 6 yards or 7 yards. And that type of stuff it goes a long way, I think, in this time at this time of the season. Cameron Yo is explosive. Don't get me wrong. Cameron Yo is very explosive, very good on special teams, very good as receiving. But I think Mineola's got the right stuff to do this.
What do you think Mineola's chances are to beat Cameron Yo, and what would they have to do?
It's going to be kind of interesting. You've got the experienced Cameron Yo team, the team that's been there before, going up against Mineola, a team that obviously has never been this far. But I think if Mineola keeps their offensive line moving the way they have, get some holes for Perkins and Crawford, I think they've got a good shot.
Now, Chris, we talked a little bit before the show how you were saying, some teams could be just set in on, we're serious, we have this one shot. But Mineola is that team that's just laid back, calm, collective. They're not worried about it.
Well, I think that they understand the game that they're about to play in, but Coach Drenna's done a really good job of he's not turned this into this is a business trip. I mean, these kids are from Mineola, Texas, and they're about to go play at AT&T Stadium where the Dallas Cowboys play. This is a chance of a lifetime. Enjoy it. Don't just be so focused on winning a state championship that you don't get a chance to actually look around and see how cool it is to get there. And then once the game kicks off, it's another football game, and I think that's when Mineola is going to turn into what we've grown to expect, which is just a very fundamentally sound team that gets the job done.
Now, one other thing I want to hit on is Mineola's defense. The past 2 games, they've had stops on the 1-yard line of both teams of Pottsboro and Shallowater.
They are just fantastic. I mean, they've taken bend but don't break to a new level. They seem to always make the play when you have to make it, and they don't turn it over. And I think that's the big thing. It's they don't turn over on offense, and they force turnovers on defense. But it all starts with the guys up front. They're very big on their offensive line and on their defensive line. Linebackers are good. They run to the football. They've got good DBs. This is going to be their biggest test. The safeties and the corners are going to be tested like no other because Cameron Yeo can really throw the football.
Well, ETFinalScore.com will be there. They'll be on the sidelines. Be sure to stick with us for videos on the website, Facebook, and Twitter. Now let's move on to Gilmer. They're going to be playing West Orange Stark. 13-2. Gilmer's 15-0. It's looking like Gilmer is just unstoppable.
Yeah, definitely. You score after 11 seconds on Salina. You obviously are making a statement of intent, and I just don't see anyone getting close to him.
I agree. We picked Gilmer to win state a month ago whenever they were still rolling in district. They looked like, even looking down, it looked like Gladewater was probably going to be a tough test, but if they got past them because they knew Gilmer so well, other teams, they just can't. I don't think they can match up. When they finally get on the field and they see how fast Gilmer is and they see how talented they are, you can't replicate that in practice. You can't replicate all those D1 guys on a receiver and in running back and things like that. And I think, especially at this level, they just have too much for these. Now, granted, West Orange Stark, they have lots of speed. They're known to be a team that can get up and down the football field, almost like a basketball team. The way they play, throwing it all over the place, and Gilmer too. I just think that Gilmer has too much in the long run, which is and this is going to be their year. They've dedicated their season to their teammates who passed away. And this is going to be the way to finish it off.
Definitely. Now, what do you think Gilmer's going to come on top of this game?
Definitely. Even if West Orange Stark can keep up with them for a little while, there's no way they can keep up with them for the full game.
What about you?
I think it's going to be at least a 28-point victory for the Gilmer Buckeyes.
Now, one other thing, had a lot of people ask me, as you know, the Allstate 4A teams came out, and a lot of people were asking, hey, can you please put this on the show? Now, and I don't know if it's newspaper-wise, people are just wondering, want to get both of y'all's opinion, but you see that Gilmer's, Chris Boyd, all of them were put on second team, all offense. What do you think about that?
I think that people made some mistakes.
Yeah. Also, it could be a fact of, a lot of those guys didn't play much after halftime, so, the yardage numbers may not have been as high as they might have been otherwise.
Yeah, McLean Carter, Chris Boyd, Blake Lynch, I believe they all should have been on first-team offense, and so did everybody else. Now let's rewind. First game we have at 5 p.m. is Wascom and Newton. Who do you believe is going to win that game?
Well, Wascom has shown that they can pretty much score with anybody, and they've been able to find ways to win. I'm going with East Texas. I'm going to go with Wascom.
Wascom?
Yeah, I think Wascom gets it done this year. I think with their running game that they have, I think they can finish it off.
All right, and then you have the unknown Mineola making their first appearance. Cameron Yeo, back-to-back titles, looking for a three-peat.
You can't go wrong with Mineola right now.
Okay.
Even though Cameron Yeo is the team, I think Mineola's going to get it done.
Mineola?
I may not be allowed back in Mineola, but I'm going to go with Cameron Yeo. Just the experience they have, I think they finish it off.
All righty. And then, of course, you both kind of answered the last one, but just get the definite answer, West Orange Stark and Gilmer.
Gilmer
as well. All righty, well, there you have it. Remember, be sure to be on ETFinalScore.com's Facebook and Twitter as well. Now, let's switch gears real quick, hit a little bit of basketball. Travis, first off, the Lady Lions have been on a tear so far. What have been keys to their victories?
Really, it's the fact that they are 10 deep. They've got 10 girls that can play. They're all athletic. They're all fast. They're all strong. Most of them can shoot. And, they went in, they won the Grady Texas shootout in Brownsboro this past weekend. They beat Lufkin, which is a good basketball team, in the 16-5A opener on Tuesday night. And I think they've got a good shot to repeat as district champs.
All right, and now the John Tyler Lions, the boys, they're getting players now from football. Who are some football players we can see in that basketball jersey?
Well, the obvious one, it would be Rodney Bendy, just because of his size. Isaac Warren, he's another guy who has been on varsity for 3 or 4 years now. They also, I've been told Bryson Smith, I haven't seen him play yet, but I've been told he's a pretty good basketball player. So I think, when they do get their players back, whether it's this weekend or after Christmas, I think they're going to see an even better team, because the boys have been playing great right now. They got second in the Greenville tournament with only 8 guys, which isn't easy to do.
Yeah, definitely. That's a team to keep your eyes on, both the John Tyler Lady Lions and the John Tyler Lions. Now, Chris, tell me a little bit about the Red Raider girls so far.
Well, they had they had their district opener and they lost in overtime. It's been a growing process with the new head coach, but it does seem like they've turned the corner. And I know, talking to a coach in the Gil Boyles, she's excited. They're coming off a win over Rains on Tuesday where they needed a last-second shot to do it. But anytime you're stacking victories, that's a good thing. We'll see. This Friday district game on the road against Rowlett's going to show a lot.
Yep, and then speaking of a new coach, the boys also have a new coach. They kind of start off slow, but it seems like they're picking things up.
They really are. I mean, they dominated White House last night at White House, which is tough to do. And this Wagstaff, I'm anxious to see how this Wagstaff lays out, because you've got a chance potentially to have All Saints and Lee in the championship game. And All Saints, I think we can all agree, is one of the best teams in East Texas, and this would be a good test for Lee to see how well they stack up with All Saints.
Awesome. And so far we got football, basketball going on. Thanks, guys, for your time today. That's going to wrap up the ETFinalScore.com preview show. Be sure to tune in this Thursday and Friday, as we'll have live coverage of the state games taking on at Jerry's World. Again, thank you very much. We'll see you next week.